Hello and welcome to Record Sports Hotline Live. My name is Daniel Caw and I am ecstatic to be joined by my esteemed colleagues Keith Jackson and all the way from Germany, Michael Gannon. Guys, how's it going?
Good to see you.
Good to talk to all that.
Mick, all the way in the Westfalen Stadion. Mick, ahead of Dortmund v Celtic tonight. How's the atmosphere bubbling up nicely?
It is starting to build up now. I don't even see over my shoulder. There's that way. Celtic fans are tucked in that little corner. They're all starting to file in. The big yellow wall, the other side, starting to fill up. It's also still 2 hours to go here. But yeah, you're outside, as usual in Germany. They do it right over here. There's a big kind of fan park and there's loads of food and you can put hot dog stalls and all that stuff and the beers. Yeah, it's really starting to build up. I think it's going to be a full house tonight, so it should be a great atmosphere.
What is the capacity tonight, Mike? Is it 80,000?
Well, I think technically it's 81 so it holds. I think they got a few chopped off due to the kind of UEFA kind of pen pushing. So I think it might be just slightly under 80. But yeah, not far off a full house in general. But every ticket's sold. So you're talking about 80,000, yeah.
I think so it's the third biggest capacity stadium anywhere in Europe, you know. So
yeah,
I said to you the other night that honestly, see for these games, the place absolutely bouncing. And I know they've not been going through the greatest of times at the start of this season, but I actually worry a little bit about this one because this feels like the sort of game where they'll want to make a statement to their own supporters and all that. So I think it could be, I don't think we're going to get Dortmund light tonight, if you know what I mean. I think Celtic will be tested really properly.
I agree with you, Keith. I mean, listen, talking to some of the locals, they're saying that the team's a bit up and down, a bit flaky. Not quite their usual standards, but they're still a top side, aren't they? I mean, at some point they're going to click. I think the danger is, offensively, they're dangerous. They can score goals. Yeah. And this is what we don't really know about Celtic this season so far. They haven't really been tested defensively this year. Even against Slovan Bratislava, they weren't really tested defensively properly. So this will be the first real examination of Celtic defending. I think they know Celtic can attack. We know that they can keep the ball. I think they'll cause problems when they've got a chance to get forward. The big question is, can they do it? Can they keep it tight to the other side? But we'll find out. But that's going to be a big test, I think.
Worries me as well, Mick, reading the stuff that you've been sending back from Germany. Nuri Sahin is paying Celtic more respect than I would have liked. Do you know what I mean? He's talking about, he's identifying Kyogo as being a huge risk to them. He's saying all the things that will make sure that his players don't take this lightly. And sometimes in situations like this, it's no bad thing if the bigger team goes into it with a little bit overconfidence. I get the impression that's not going to be the case here tonight either.
No, I think they are paying Celtic a lot of respect. I think. Listen, I know last season the results weren't particularly great in Europe, but I think a lot of teams watched Celtic and seen spells that they were a decent side. You look at the home games against Atletico and Lazio, away game in Italy, I thought they were decent for a period. First half and final, they were really good as well, up until they lost that first goal. So the periods of games last year where they looked at a Champions League side, and periods when they didn't look so hot. But it means that they've noticed at the start of the season they've had it on the home front. Albeit you've got to take that into account as Scotland and they're not really getting pushed. But there's definitely a respect here. I think they know that Celtic can cause problems offensively, but I think they also suspect that they can be got at in behind. Obviously, Carter Vickers missing is a big, massive blow for Celtic at this stage as well. There's got a big test for Trusty coming in. So yeah, this is going to be. We'll find out now where Celtic are. We suspect Celtic are a better proposition this season. We think they can make an impact in this competition, but we're going to find out. This is going to sort it out for them tonight. If they get a performance here tonight, then we'll know where they have improved and where they go from here. So yeah, it's going to be really, really interesting.
Couple of really interesting selection points, isn't there? I know that Trusty would expect to come straight into the team. Why would they not if you've spent £6 million to make your squad options better? Of course he will. Mick, does he come in on the left-hand side or the right-hand side of the pairing centrally? Because he didn't look particularly comfortable and he's out against Falkirk on that side. And it obviously involves moving Scales to the right-hand side. What do we expect to see there? Just the same as St Johnstone?
I think so, yeah. Listen, I must admit, I always find it funny, like you see two left-footed centre-backs, you think it's a bit out of balance. But when you see two right-footed centre-backs, which is most often the case, nobody bats an eyelid.
Yeah.
Oh, there's two right-footed centre-backs. It doesn't look right. But if you get two lefties, it does look a bit weird, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I take the point. I think he is more comfortable on the left side. But as you said, he didn't look that comfortable on the left side against Falkirk. Much better against Johnson. Again, not particularly tested. Listen, he's an international, a £6 million defender for a lot of games in England. But I think this is why he came to Celtic, play these kind of games. So I think he's got to go with it, got to trust him, and then see how he gets on.
Let me throw a few comments at you guys from fans that have been sent in before it gets too loud for you there, Mick. Luke McAlpine on Facebook. A very respectable 2-2 draw for Celtic tonight. Kyogo and Trusty to score the goals. Andy Mack saying Maeda is absolutely crucial to getting a result. His pace and pressing will cause any team's problems. Joe McCabe, I've been so confident for Celtic to get something, but it reminds me of the feeling I had ahead of Germany v Scotland in the Euros. We know what happened there. And this final one that I'll throw at both of you, Josh Skinner. Who would the guys start tonight, Hatate or Bernardo? It's an interesting one.
That was the other question I was going to throw at Mick in terms of the selection decisions that Brendan Rodgers has to make. That one's... Do you know what? I'm going to say that one's a big call. Maybe it's not that big a call, because what have we talked about consistently since the transfer window closed? That Brendan Rodgers now has quality options all over the place. There's not going to be a drop-off in quality, whether or not it's Hatate or whether it's Bernardo. That's the situation that he wanted to be in going into this campaign. And that, we can argue the toss all day long. Some people prefer Hatate, some people prefer Paulo Bernardo. But the bottom line is, are you going to see a huge drop-off in quality no matter who comes in there? I don't think you are. I think, they're both of a very similar level. And that's exactly where Celtic need to be.
Mm-hmm.
I suspect, I could be proved wrong very, very shortly. I suspect Bernardo will get the nod tonight over Hatate. I think Bernardo is a slightly more disciplined type player in terms of getting the possession of the ball. He doesn't take too many chances with the ball. Hatate loves a Hollywood pass. When it comes off, it's brilliant. If it doesn't come off in Europe, you can get punished quite quickly in turnovers and all that stuff. I think this might be a Bernardo game tonight, purely because he certainly can't afford to lose the ball, especially in their own half. But listen, as Keith said, it's a nice position to have, Hatate or Bernardo. Both of them are top players. I think Bernardo played at the weekend, played really, really well. He's come back a different player as well this season. I just think his ability and the way he kind of looks after possession a wee bit more than Hatate. I think that's going to give him the edge in terms of tonight. But team sheet's going to come out in about 10 minutes to probably prove me wrong, but we'll see.
Keith, going back to the question, who would you go with?
Oh, do you know what? I'm with Mick. I'd probably go with Bernardo.
Me too, for what it's worth.
And I wouldn't have said that maybe 6 months ago, 8 months ago. I'd be surprised, really surprised to even think about taking Hatate out of that midfield. But again, and we've talked about this previously, Brendan Rodgers, his bag full of magic dust, he sprinkles it around Lennoxtown and lands on some players, and all of a sudden you see a growth spurt. Paulo Bernardo looks to me a far more accomplished, rounded midfield operator than he did even 8 months ago, 12 months ago. And you can see he is staking a claim. And it's something we've discussed. These guys are coming in, and if they're getting a chance, they know they have to take it, because the manager's got so many options. If you get onto that pitch, you have to make your case for why you should stay out there for the next game. And Paulo Bernardo, to be fair to him, every time he's had that opportunity over the last few weeks, he's looked... I just think he's edging it in front of Hatate. And I take Mick's point as well about a little bit more disciplined in terms of keeping hold of the ball. I like that about Hatate. I like that he'll make an imaginative pass and try to make a difference in the final third. But Paulo Bernardo makes a difference. He scores goals. And he's probably more of a goal threat than Hatate. So, listen... Do you know what? As I said, I think it's almost a toss of a coin. But Bernardo, for me, has been one of these players that you can see the improvement under Brendan Rodgers, and you can see that he's been moulded into exactly the player that Brendan Rodgers kind of always envisaged that he could be.
Mm-hmm. And to be fair as well, Mick, and going back to one of the comments there, Andy Mack going on about Dyson Maeda. This, I mean, Brendan Rodgers in the last couple of weeks said that he's literally one of the best players in the world when it comes to pressing. He will be crucial tonight, won't he? He is almost indispensable for Celtic on nights like tonight. If they're going to get a result, Maeda has to be his best.
Oh, absolutely. He's fast becoming Celtic's most important player.
Yeah.
And in this level particularly, I mean, he's got to protect his fullback tonight, all night. Dortmund's danger is all down the flanks. That's where it's coming from. So Maeda, it's probably going to be a more defensive performance from him tonight. But what he can do is he can spring that counter as well. You've got an out ball. If you want to go slightly longer, you can get up the park with him. He's going to be absolutely crucial tonight. Again, it's just as well, he seems to be the kind of Duracell bunny, because he is going to get put in a hell of a shift again tonight. But you know he will. You saw it on Saturday, 6-0 up, 5 minutes to go, and he's chasing back 70 yards to win a throw-in. And you actually think, say, listen, Dyson, calm down. Just calm yourself. But that's what Brendan Rodgers highlighted that after the game. That's one of his favourite moments in the match. 6 great goals. That was probably his favourite moment. But he's going to have to do a bit more of that tonight as well. As I say, Dortmund's threat is down these flanks, and he'll need to try and stop it at source. But he's in for a heck of a night.
Maeda's another one, Michael. When you look at, and I keep saying it, that Brendan Rodgers, he almost picks a player as a project. How can I make him better? How can I make him better? Maeda's looks. We had a conversation. I was speaking to Swanee the other night. I said, technically, he kind of lets himself down, and Craig made the point, and I think he's quite right as well. He's another who is far more polished now in the final third of the pitch than he was previously. When he was just, Forrest Gump, just send him out there and they'll run all day long, and incredible energy levels. The fact is that he probably fills about 3 shots during 90 minutes because of the kind of running power that he's got. But I think it's a fair point that he does look a bit better now in the final third. He is picking the right decisions in terms of passing and shooting. There is more of a craft work to what he's doing in the vital areas, as opposed to just this incredible running power. Again, another player that looks to be progressing, and that's, I guess that's what Brendan Rodgers prides himself on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, listen, he's got it. He's finished and started the game. It was a class finish. He's got the ability to do that. But listen, you've got to be realistic. If Dyson Maeda had a slightly more polished final ball or a finishing ability, he wouldn't be at Celtic.
No.
He'd be £150 million worth of talent playing somewhere else. If he was a full package. That's the reality. If he had that extra wee bit in the final third, he'd really be like, buy him.
But I think he's adding it, Mick, is what I'm saying. Yes. I think you're absolutely right. Celtic wouldn't have been able to buy him in the first place. But if Rodgers can actually take his performance levels up 10, 15%, as he has done previously, Matt O'Reilly became a far better player in his year with Brendan Rodgers. It is doable, and Brendan Rodgers seems to be an expert at it. And bits that you thought, well, there's nothing you can teach Dyson Maeda in terms of having the composure or the finishing prowess or picking the right pass. These things have to come naturally, I would have thought. But I'm seeing a difference. I'm seeing him make better choices. And again, I think that comes back on the manager and the work that's getting done in the training pitch.
Mark Fairfield, watching live on YouTube, comes in with a really good comment. I honestly wouldn't swap Dyson for any other player in his position in world football. The last player I thought that about was Henrik. He's indispensable. And even without, Mick, I think you make a really good point that if he was the full package, he probably wouldn't be at Celtic. Even without being the kind of ready-made final article, I'm still surprised that he's not had more attention from other clubs. He's just a brilliant player.
Yeah, listen, I think at times when he first came to Celtic, I think a lot of fans were kind of frustrated with him because of that final ball and missing chances. But now you're seeing him, what he brings to the team. It's not just this running ability and engine he's got. Like KC says, he has got a goal in him and an assist in him. But I think what he does as well is he kind of inspires the guys alongside him. Yeah. I think they see him busting a gut like that in the 86-minute of games when you're 6-0 up. They think, hang on a minute, I need to do that as well. If that's the standard, there's nothing stop me doing that as well. And I think we've seen it. Nicholas Kuhn on the other side. I think he has noticed. Well, this guy's making us all look bad here. we're going to need to do something similar. And I think that's the kind of the key to unlocking this kind of incredible work ethic. Because listen, they're a good side on the ball, they can pass it, quick moving, but they actually put in a hell of a lot of work as well. And that's the most impressive thing, is that they are such a hard working team. And it comes from Maida. He inspires that. I mean, I don't think he's particularly a captain type figure. He's very quiet on and off the pitch. But that kind of performance level does inspire the guys alongside him. Might you see it?
Yeah. Before we let you go,
By
Mike.
the way,
Sorry, go on,
no
Keith.
other player in the world.
That's what Mark Fairfield says. No other player in his position in world football.
In world football, okay.
I can't hear anything here. It's getting louder by the second, boys. It's starting to build up.
You didn't want to hear that one, Mick.
Well, before we let you go then, Mick, Thomas
I was
Burns...
hoping that was subtitles rather than text message you're reading out there.
Thomas Burns has written in on YouTube saying a draw tonight would be a great result, and it takes me on to my last question for you, Michael. What's your prediction?
I think it's a big ask tonight. I think it's a big ask for Celtic. I said last night on the show that I don't even think that a defeat is necessarily a disaster as long as the performance. So I think we need to see Celtic competing for 90 minutes, a bit more mature than they have been in certain away games in Europe, and giving Dortmund a good game. And I think if we do that and say go down maybe 1-0 or 2-1, I think people will accept it. Momentum will still be with Celtic going forward. So I think it's a big ask. I think I can see Dortmund having the firepower to edge it. But I think Celtic will cause them enough problems to take a lot from this game. So I think Dortmund might sneak it, but Celtic will win it. That's my prediction.
Give us a score, Mike. Give us a score.
2-1 Dortmund, maybe 3-2.
2-1. What do you think, Keith?
I went 3-1 Dortmund. I think Celtic have got the capability of trying to impose themselves on the contest. That's what Mick is saying that Celtic will be looking for. I agree. Give them a game. Give them a bloody nose if you can. Impose yourself on it and try and play your brand of football. That's what Brendan Rodgers, this whole journey has been about. I feel that Celtic are ready to do it. I don't know if they're ready to take a scalp like this away from home at a place like Dortmund. But if they can make a genuine game of it, if they can cause the Germans concern during the 90 minutes, if they can get at their back line, if they can just play the sort of high intensity, aggressive style that they do domestically, that's another step. It's another step. And I keep saying it, 3 points in the bag. The result tonight is not going to make or break Celtic's hopes of reaching the playoff stages for this new competition. So, yeah, just lay a glove on them. And do you know what? Don't get embarrassed, because it has set Celtic back in the past. Just when you think they might be on the cusp of something, they've gone and taken a real heavy one away from home in the Champions League. You want to avoid that. You want to show that you're now ready to mix it with these guys. I don't think Celtic will get embarrassed tonight. I think they will put on a performance, but I think the ask is just a little bit too big at this stage.
Well, Mo on YouTube says 5-1 to the tick, and Alex Elder says, from a Rangers fan, I predict 2-1 to Celtic. And before we let you go, Mick, it's going to be, I think it will be 2-1 to Celtic. Adam Ida win on the second half. There you go. You can take that to the bank.
The only big prediction I can make is that I'm going to go and get a big giant bratwurst in about 2 seconds. That's definitely going to be happening.
Mick, thank you very much for joining us on the Hotline Live. I hope it's an absolute cracker for you.
What, his long sausage?
Absolutely. Aye, have a good one, Mick, and safe travels
That's
home when the time comes. Cheers.
See you, mate.
I think we were defeated there a wee bit by the volume in the Westfalen Stadion. But aye, I think it will be a cracker tonight, Keith. I think it will be a really good game.
Aye, it became a bit of an uphill struggle there, didn't it? Which might, by the way, reflect what the match looks like for Celtic as well. But I think, and this is what I'm worried at, I'm guarded against, going into a match like this and sort of a kind of forgetting Celtic's track record at this level, forgetting the fact that Dortmund were playing in the Champions League final a couple of months ago. I think we need to keep it real. Mm-hmm. And that's why I'm saying to you, if Celtic can go there and just look like the Celtic side that we're used to seeing domestically, be aggressive, be on the front foot, cause them problems, use the ball well when you've got it, defend robustly, do all these things that you're looking for They don't have to defend very robustly back home, so that is a different sort of ingredient that needs to get thrown into this performance. But just look like Celtic. Just look like the team that has been ripping it up domestically over these last certainly couple of seasons. Go there and be adventurous and make a mark and make a statement, even if you don't get the result. I think Celtic fans will be perfectly happy with that because it points to progress. And as I said, with 3 points in the bag already, they're in good nick anyway.
Yeah. Hazel there on YouTube saying Kyogo to start all day long, keep the discipline and give them a game. To clarify, I do think Adamide will come on and make a difference. I didn't mean that he would start. But I genuinely do think Celtic will get a result tonight, and I guess we'll see. Time will only tell.
How did you feel before Scotland versus Germany in Munich?
I remember doing this hotline live with you, Keith, and I said it'd be 1-1. I really thought Scotland, the way they played against Spain, I thought we were tailor-made to give Germany a game. So, who knows?
Didn't work out, did it?
Didn't quite work out, no. Hopefully tonight's a bit different.
Maybe I'm just I'm too old and too cynical, and I've been in too many of these trips and seen too many of these sort of results, and I'm guarded against getting, a little bit carried away ahead of these matches because you know what these guys are going into. This is the top end. Yeah. And I keep coming back to, if Celtic were to get out of there with a point, that's an absolutely sensational result. Yeah. And I wouldn't be aiming for too much higher than that. If I'm wrong, by the way, and Celtic go there and they blow Borussia Dortmund away, then that's astonishing. And if they come back with 6 points from the first two games, well, they can already book their place. They might not even need to get into the last 8 or the last 16 through a playoff.
That's true. Aye, that's true. I guess we'll see. The other stuff that we need to touch on, Keith, there's some news from Rangers today. Something that we've talked about a lot over the last couple of months is Ianis Hagi, who has been reintegrated back into the first team squad. Only maybe 6 or 8 weeks late, but he's back in there.
If only someone had listened to what we were saying right after the Euros. It's been astonishing. I mean, I remember Scott McDermott making the point as well. There was a guy that was the last SPFL player remaining at a major international finals during the summer. The last guy standing. And at that point, there's a premium on his head, especially being an attacking player. Mm-hmm. Any player that's, one of the sort of more creative options in any of the teams at that stage in the competition should have a fairly hefty fee attached to him. And somehow Rangers have managed to rub that fee right out because he's now a guy that is a B team player at Rangers. He's been wasting away, all because of, whether it's, the suggestion was an increase in wages of $6,000 a week. Perhaps another payment to Genk would have been due for one more top team appearance. It was absolutely bonkers for Rangers to allow this situation to develop in the manner that it did. We said it weeks ago, sit him down. This boy, we're talking about a guy whose attitude is absolutely outstanding. And you hear from people around Auchenhowie that he's one of the first players in every morning. He's one of the last to leave. He goes and does extra shooting practice. He's been playing for this B team. He's not been throwing one in and saying, I'm not fit, I don't want to play, or, my hamstring's feeling a bit tight halfway through a match. He's played every minute of every game. His attitude has been exemplary. He's absolutely an example of what a professional footballer should look like. And Rangers have treated him terribly. Even to the fact, by the way, that, a month ago, Philippe Clement, let me just get this right. Philippe Clement at the end of the transfer window, so start of September. We spoke about that months ago. He was asked if there's any way back. We spoke about that months ago. We were really open and honest with him and his agent that we don't see him becoming the next number 10 for Rangers for the next couple of years. So to look out for other opportunities. That story stays the same, and for sure, with Barami now in the building, you have this situation. So even at the end of the window, Clement boxed himself in there, which again seems like a managerial misstep to me. Why did he do that? Why did he say publicly that this guy's just not good enough to cut it? What incredible comment to come away with. And on
What does he?
top of all that,
What
on top
would
of
he
all
gain from
that,
that? Aye.
on top of all that, they also took his number off him, his squad number, and
Yeah.
gave it to Oscar Cortes. I mean, you could not have treated this guy any more abysmally than Rangers have. And it's made no sense to me. Yes, I get it, there might be sums involved. But what did we say? We said months ago, think outside the box. You're looking at a Rangers team that were relying on Scott Wright's, Rabbi Matondo's, Kieran Dowell's been getting games in these kind of last third areas. Ross McCausland scored a good goal last week. Are you telling me Ross McCausland has got more talent than Ianis Hagi? Because we'll have a fight about it. Hagi might not be a world beater, and I agree with that. But he's a very, very talented boy and a potential game changer. And for him to be sitting wasting away when Clement was going to the well with these other guys, it's been ludicrous from the start. I'm really glad for Hagi in particular that they've reached a common sense conclusion on it and that he's back in the fold. But, you know, as I said to you, even the fact that he can't even get his old shirt back, which probably means his old locker's been taken off him as well. What a way to treat somebody. It's madness. But I will come back to it. Over a year ago, when he was coming back from that injury, bad injury, he seemed to me like a guy who'd done a power of work in the gym to get himself ready for the start of that season under Michael Beale. And he was, during the pre-season performances, I thought he was the one guy who actually caught the eye. I thought, he looks good. He looks full of energy. He looks stronger. He looks
sharp.
If he's bulked up a bit, he's sharp. And the first thing they did was, you know, get him as far away out the place as possible to make road for Sam Lammers. He's not been treated any better by this manager.
Yeah.
But you look at him and you look at the standard of performances that he's been clearly putting in week in, week out in the B team, albeit, I think he has the potential to go straight into that team and make a difference. And I think he could play in any one of the three positions behind the main striker and improve this Rangers team. In fact, I don't think there's any doubt about it. So I'm really pleased for him, and I'll be really fascinated to see how this transitions now that he's coming back into the fold. Is Clement going to give him a fair crack at the whip? Well, that seems unlikely given what he said. So it just seems like a very badly handled situation. And things have been said that didn't need to be said. There was no need to come out and say, we've told him and his agent he's not good enough. He's you know, he could be here for another 2 years. He's not going to play as my number 10. Well, you might find he might be there for another 2 weeks and he'll be playing as Philip Clement's number 10. But again, there's another mistake being made there. He's not his name's not in the European squad, so you'll not be seeing him on Thursday night.
No.
But I'm guessing that Hagi comes back like a player with a real point to prove. And if he's given the chance to show what he can do, I expect him to grab it.
Let me hit you with some comments, Keith, because we have had a big reaction to this on Record Sports social media channels. Stephen Kilpatrick, best player in the league, Euros last 16 with Romania. Why wasn't this done weeks ago? David McLeod, paying him a fortune to play in the B team was insane. And a couple of live comments that have come in on YouTube. Rangers, is he okay? I wasn't keen on Hagi coming back a month ago. Not going to lie, his agent is a mouthpiece, but fair play. His attitude seems spot on and can help us in the short term, even just to January. He takes issue though, Keith, with your comment about the squad number. I don't agree with taking the squad number off him, Keith. In May, he told his agent he wanted to find a new club. We signed Cortes a few weeks later. The number was available.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Ianis Hagi would agree with that comment or if he would refute it. I'm not sure at any point he has been demanding to get away. He's not a Todd Cantwell. There was no such conversation as far as I know. I think, and for everything that I've heard from him and from the people even at Rangers, this guy is fully committed. He's been crying out for the chance to make an agreement with Rangers that would allow him to get back in and considered for the squad. He just wants to play football. I don't think that he was ever agitating for a move or looking to get away. I just think decisions have been made. By the way, if Clement fancied him, he could have brought him back from Spain to have a look at him last season. There's been no interest shown in Hagi for whatever reason. I think wrongly. And let's see, you know, maybe Clement's right. Maybe Michael Beale was right. Maybe he's not any better than Rabbi Matondo or Kieran Dowell. I rather suspect that Ianis Hagi is about to prove that isn't the case.
Yeah. The other news, Keith, that we need to talk about is the Scotland squad was announced today. Steve Clarke's latest squad. We've had quite a big reaction to that as well.
Yeah.
A few surprising names in there. Were you surprised by some of the call-ups? I mean, Nicky Devlin, Andy Irvine, obviously Ben Doak gets the nod as well.
He's desperately short of options, isn't he? Especially defensively. So, good luck to Nicky Devlin. He's one of these guys, and I think I was down at Hampden for that press conference today, and Steve Clarke said, look, he has got a history of bringing, guys that maybe some people would have thought they missed the boat. And he highlighted, obviously, Andy Considine as being one of them. So, it's testament to Nicky Devlin, who's just one of these kind of hang your hat on guys. Okay, I think he wouldn't get in the squad under ordinary circumstances, but there is a lack of options there. Liam Lindsay at Preston comes in as well. I don't expect either of these guys to start. I think there would need to be a COVID outbreak within the camp for it to get to that point. But it's good to have them around. They'll enjoy the experience, and Clarke could get the chance to see them in close quarters. And there's also Andy Irvine, formerly of Hearts, now at West Ham. He's gone a long and varied route to make it into the Scotland squad. But that's great for him as well. And it is good that Steve Clarke will get the chance to train with these guys, see what they look like. But I don't imagine that any of them will be troubling his initial selection. I think that there are difficult situations for the manager to resolve because of a lack of options. And, we are getting a spate of injuries now. And this is probably the worst one that we've had for a long time under Steve Clarke. But you keep as close to the core as you possibly can. You've got Scott McTominay, you've got Billy Gilmore. These guys are being lauded in Napoli right now. They come, into this, they must be feeling superb about themselves, especially a guy like McTominay, who kept getting told he wasn't good enough at Man United. They want to build a team around him in Napoli now. Yeah. Antonio Conte, who has stuck rigidly to a 5-man defence for as long as I can recall, has ripped up his favourite formation for one reason and one reason only, to try and get both of these guys, and McTominay in particular, into his starting 11. And where's he playing them? In the exact same position that Steve Clarke was playing Scott McTominay. So what's that tell you?
Exactly. Aye.
So I think McTominay, Billy Gilmore hasn't quite made the same dramatic impact over there, but he did play in a Coppa Italia match last week, I think. He'll fit into that system. He'll take to that like a duck to water, because it is all about possession football. Billy Gilmore will make a name for himself there, I've no doubt about it. But then you think about it, you've got your trailblazers like Lewis Ferguson, Aaron Hickey. You've got Shea Adams there just now. You've got Josh Doig, albeit in Serie B. But you're looking now at a situation which you would never have thought possible, with all these Scottish internationals playing in the top league of Italian football. Yeah. I've got a new name for it. I'm going to call it Tartanaccio. And I think that if we can plug into this, I think it is. This feels like a fresh start, and it feels like it's had to be a fresh start because the Euros were such a disappointment. Steve Clarke is aware of that. He's not a daft guy. He's realised he needed to come back with something fresh, something that feels a bit new, something that might enthuse the fans and get everybody back on board. He's tweaked the system. He's went to a back four. We have looked bolder and more aggressive. Okay, 2 defeats against Poland and Portugal. There might be more defeats to come because this group was horrendously difficult. Yeah. But if we see signs of the development of a new, fresh-looking Scotland, then here's the lights going out again. Maybe that's quite fitting. If we can see those signs, if the fans see these signs, if the team performs to a similar level, and you've got all these new guys who are going into a new chapter in their career, your Shea Adams, McTominay, Billy Gilmore, I'm quite excited about it, and I'm quite excited to see how the team grows, because this feels potentially like the next stage in the development.
Yeah. Well, you put some money in the Lecky meter, Keith. I'll hit you with some comments from people watching at home. Jim here.
It's embarrassing, isn't it?
Jim here.
Devlin, I think we should explain to people, Daniel, that this is actually the future.
Aye, that's it.
It's an eco-friendly office, and if it doesn't detect movement, then it just plunges you into darkness. So that's why every now
State
and
of the
then you
art.
have to run about doing the chicken and doing a lap around the editorial floor.
Well, Jim here on Facebook saying Devlin deserves his call-up. He's been standout right back in the league so far this year. Needs to start over the ponderous Ralston as well. It hasn't gone down well, though, with Andy Smith, who says just another case of the old pals act with Steve Clarke. And of course, Keith, we haven't actually mentioned yet, Craig Gordon's back in the squad. Tony Meakin. Gordon's still a top-class keeper with plenty of experience, good decision. And Stephen Thompson, great call-up. Gordon's experience will help, and he's still a great keeper. Would you have brought Gordon back, Keith?
I just got a message there from Daily Record columnist Barry Ferguson, who says, I prefer it with the lights out.
You've never looked so good.
Yeah, that's perhaps the future. Craig Gordon, by the way, I think he might have a shot at not just coming in to fill a seat on the bench. I think of all the things, there has been progress. Angus Gunn has had a really difficult ride recently over the last 12 months.
Very difficult. Aye.
And he's, I think, been guilty of letting in a couple of goals that I'm not sure he would have let in when he first came into the scene and into the setup, when he looked really safe hand. I wonder if Craig Gordon goes in here and gets a clean slate and they look at him and they just judge him now on who looks the best on the training pitch.
It sounds a bit mad, Keith, right? Considering he'll be almost 43, I think, by the time
Like 41 just now.
Aye, so by the time we're maybe going to the World Cup, 43, I still think I'd have Craig Gordon as number one. I know that's a bit out there. I just think Angus Gunn's form for Scotland has dropped off a cliff at times.
I think Angus Gunn has had a little bit of a confidence problem lately.
Yeah.
Having said that, look at the way he ended the game in Portugal. Right, okay, he conceded a bad goal, but he made incredible couple of saves towards the end of that game.
Yeah.
And exactly what you're looking for in a Scotland keeper, because we know our goalkeeper's going to have to make saves that you kind of wonder how that was physically possible.
Yeah.
That's what Scotland keepers have to do. You can't just be a steady 6, 7 out of 10 guy. You need to make the saves that no one expects. Angus Gunn has been guilty of not doing that for a while, but then had a very strong kind of second half in Portugal. Certainly ended towards the end of the match, pulled off a couple of miraculous saves in really hectic situations. But I just feel as if this is a moment. Craig Gordon comes back in. He's got 75 caps. I don't know if Angus Gunn can rest on his laurels and think, well, I'm the number one here. I think it might be really interesting for the coaching staff to take a look at both guys on the training pitch and work out from there who looks the best bet.
And to be fair as well, just to finish in Gordon, that Finland game before the Euros, when it looked like he was given a kind of unofficial goodbye, Gordon, as you say, 41, could have easily, waved goodbye, cheers, appreciate it. But I love the attitude that he's not going to retire. If Scotland need him, if Scotland want him, he's available. I absolutely love that. I love that about him.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's because most fans would feel like that, wouldn't they?
Aye,
if you thought if there was ever a chance of playing for Scotland, you would never actually decide to hang up your boots, or in Craig Gordon's case, his gloves, and say that I don't want to be considered for selection. You would keep on going till your legs fell off.
Yeah.
And I think the punters can relate to that. He's been unfortunate throughout his career where he's had long spells out of the game through injury. So I think his attitude is quite rightly and quite understandably, why call time on anything? Just keep going for as long as you can. And he's done well enough to reclaim the number one shirt at his club. I don't write anything off with Craig Gordon because he's got this history of being the Cinderella man, the great comeback guy. This could be the next one. Before
we round off the night, Keith, Mark Fairfield has replied to you on the Dies and Maida chat. Yes, Keith, world football. Better passers, crossers, finishers, headers, maybe even faster and better players, but no one has the mentality or work rate that he offers, much more than most players. So he's sticking by his guns, Keith.
I thought you were going to say much more than Mo Salah. I'm just wondering where we would stand on that, as if there was a potential swap deal.
Well, according to Mark, Maida would be staying.
Okay.
And this final comment from your old pal Gianni De Maio.
Not him again.
You on every night, Keith. You are really pushing into the modern era.
Tell him
Try
to
to
put a
keep up.
pizza in the oven.
Exactly. I know, Gianni, get the pizza sent over. Keith, I think that brings us to the end of tonight's Hotline Live with Record Sport. I should say, if you got involved in the comments, we really appreciate it. And we'll be back to do it all at 6 p.m. tomorrow night. Keith, always a pleasure.
Yeah, I'm away to do my Elmer Fudd impersonation and try and find my way to the door.
Nice one. Good luck with that. And we'll be back tomorrow. Thanks for watching at home. Cheers.